Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Lang. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Lang.
Welcome to Finding Certainty. If you're a new visitor, we appreciate you stopping in and checking us out. If you're a frequent listener, thanks for coming. We appreciate your time, and I think you're going to really enjoy my special guest today, Jessica Brothers. Jessica, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Patrick. Blessed to be here. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited to have our audience hear your story and some of your insights into branding, into nutrition, into really ways to help elevate your life to higher levels. And you're an expert at that. I always start out by sharing just a couple of reasons why I've invited this specific guest on Finding Certainty. And first and foremost, Jessica and I have gotten to be friends, and she is one of the most dynamic personalities I've met. She just has this infectious energy and this massive charisma that is very contagious. And I thought everyone would enjoy hearing her and hearing from really an expert in her field, but more importantly, a personality that you just want to listen to. You just want to sit and listen to her talk. And then, but secondly, she's figured out some things throughout her career that can help take your brand to a completely different level. She talks about owning your brand and living it fully. And so I think it's something that could help any small business out there. And even just if you're looking for ways to maybe become more social or to get to know more people and build your network. Maybe you don't own a business, but you've thought about it. Regardless, I think you're going to learn some things today from my guest, Jessica. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I don't usually share an enormous bio starting out because I want to save the time for our conversation, but it's listed in the episode description. But just know that Jessica is a world-renowned integrative nutritionist. She's a branding expert. She's an award-winning, best-selling author, speaker. I mean, the list goes on and on. So
Incredible. Thank you, Patrick.
We're excited to have you here, Jessica. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from? Where did you grow up? Maybe a little bit about your family, if you don't mind.
Sure. I come from Massachusetts, actually, the East Coast. I grew up in a small town called Agawam. And I have 4 sisters. I'm nice. Right smack in the middle. I have 2 older, 2 younger, 3 of them are half. 1 is full blood. Basically grew up there, but from a young age, my mom started bringing us over to California to visit my aunt. And as far back as I can remember, every time we would land in California, I was like, wow, this is where I want to be. I feel like I got the travel bug really, really early in life. And as soon as I graduated high school, I think I lasted a year in college at UMass in Massachusetts before I actually started moving around and traveling. And even to this day, I still do. So that's a little bit about me. I've always been an artist and into fitness at the same time. 9 years old, I learned my first bicep curls and started doing squats and sit-ups on my living room floor. My mom used to look at me and be like, what are you doing, Jessica? I'm like, Mom, I got to be healthy. I got to feel healthy. And I used to make special grocery lists for her to go shopping for me because I was getting really particular about my food. And I was the only one really in my family that was like that. Something just came to me and got that bug. And on top of it, I was an artist. I created my first profitable business. I think I was like 12 years old. And it was all about art and crafts. And I went around the neighborhood with a handmade magazine collecting orders. And that's
Nice.
much where I started in life,
So you've been a nutritionist since you were a child and an entrepreneur, sounds like, for just as long. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting how our lives paths kind of choose us more often than we choose them, right? Whether it's instilled in us from a young age, whether it's maybe guidance from a mentor or something that just lands in our lap. I mean, I don't know. I would venture to say that there's more people out there that their career found them than those who knew exactly what they wanted to do and chose that path from a very young age. Sounds like you kind of were a mix of the two. You knew what you wanted, but it was instilled in you, right? Is that a safe statement?
I would say so. For me, it felt like a pull. It really did. It felt like that inner intuition, that voice, and a pull towards it. Because from a young age, I love to smile at people and make people feel happy, because I realized the difference of how it made me feel. I loved being happy. It could be because I grew up in a very depressed household and had a lot of very depressed people around me, that I quickly learned the difference between feeling happy and looking happy, as opposed to feeling depressed and looking depressed. And for me, so I would smile because that made me look happy. And I found that when I smiled and I looked happy, it actually made me feel happy. And when I was in that mood, in that kind of state, it was easy for me to be pulled towards the things that kept me in that state, in that mood, which was art and creation, really. So,
Right.
Yeah, and health. It's so weird. Those two opposites are still very strong in my life today.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you've developed a name for yourself as a world-renowned expert in this area. You spent the last, 7 years on NBC as a fitness and nutrition expert. I mean, how many
Yes.
people can say that about their track record? So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's interesting to your point about how when you smile, kind of you fake it till you make it. If you try to look happy, you try to even pretend that you're happy, or put on a smile on your face, so you actually start to feel that way. It reminds me of a class I took at BYU, Brigham Young University, years and years ago. It's one of the few lessons I remember from college, but they said that our thoughts dictate our feelings. And they also went a step further, and they said our negative thoughts are usually distorted, right? If we lose our job, the first thought we have is, oh my gosh, I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be living under a bridge. I'm never going to get another job. Well, that's not true. It's probably unlikely.
Yes.
And yet that's what we think, right? Or we tend to just blow them out of proportion. And I gave two examples of how two coworkers are both sent home from work. They're both contagious, whatever it was. They felt okay, but they said, no, you can't be here. You're contagious. You need to be home for 2 weeks. And one of them thought, well, man, I'm already behind. This is terrible. I can't afford 2 weeks at home. They're paying him for it. But he goes home and he was miserable for 2 weeks because he had to be sent home. The other one said, I've needed a vacation. It's a week, right? He went home and bought a bunch of junk food. He said, they didn't say I couldn't go fishing, right? I mean, he relaxed. He watched some movies and went fishing. He totally enjoyed himself. What was the difference between those two scenarios? The only difference was what they thought of those scenarios.
Perspective.
And when they came back to work, guess who was more productive and charged up, batteries charged, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really interesting lesson to your point that I've always remembered. So
yeah, it is really important. Our thoughts do dictate how we feel. I mean, our emotions are a direct correlation to the quality of our thoughts. So when you feel crappy, if you tune in, become aware of your thoughts, you're going to quickly realize that your thoughts are crappy too. And we can change a thought in a matter of any moment. And if we can change our thought, we can change our state and our emotion and our mood in any moment as well.
absolutely.
So it's so powerful, really, really powerful.
Well, I know when you coach your clients, you're coaching them on nutrition and fitness, but a big part of that is coaching them on mindset, right?
Yes.
And on perspective, and stepping back from themselves, maybe, and analyzing where they're at and what they want. And the mind is such a powerful thing. It absolutely plays a part in our cells, our business, our health, et cetera, et cetera. I try not even to say my head is killing me because I don't want it to be true, right?
So it is our words, the human body is, so I've spent probably the past, good 15 years studying the biology of the human body, the interaction of cells and health and thoughts and emotions and that vibrations that they put out. And our words really, they carry a vibration, they hold truth to them because our human brain wants us always to be right. So whatever we say, our human brain will find ways to make it true. So that's why it's really, really important to be aware of the words you speak, because especially after the words I am, because anything that comes after I am, your brain's like, okay, we'll make that happen. And so, yes, it's saying, oh, my head hurts. You're going to focus on that because where your energy goes, your focus flows, or where your focus flows, your energy goes, and your head is going to hurt more. And maybe that sounds a little wonky or woo-woo, but reality is in today's science, they're proving this every single day now. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
They are. Growing up, we all heard the saying that our attitude determines our altitude, right? And
yes.
PMA, positive mental attitude. And I always thought that made sense. If I try to have a good attitude, I'm going to work harder and so forth. But I've come to believe, and as you said, the data, the science is confirming this, that it goes way beyond just feeling better. It literally has almost an organic or a magnetic effect in our lives. They've proven that a positive thought vibrates something like 10,000 times faster and stronger than a negative thought. And it has a magnetic quality where it draws similar frequencies or vibrations toward us. It's a really interesting topic. I mean, we could talk all day just on that subject alone.
That's why I usually have a whiteboard behind me, because so often I draw out that actual science. So people are very interested, like, how does that really work, Jessica? Well, let me show you. But it's very true. Yes.
I saw a video a little while ago where they put sensors on people's heads and they could actually measure their thoughts, and it's exactly true.
Yes.
It's a fascinating topic. So, okay, so you went to UMass for a year, and my daughter went to Wellesley College back in that area, in that neck of the woods. She got a full ride scholarship to Wellesley, which was cool. And then you started traveling. And were you headed toward California at that time, or did you kind of see the country, see the world for a little while first?
Before I actually went and moved to California, I had driven across the country and back again. And then I realized, all right, I'm moving to California. I packed up. I applied to Chapman University out there because I was going to college for graphic design for arts and with a minor in marketing. And there was a school out there that was closest to where my aunt lived, where I was moving, and supported the classes and the education I wanted. So I signed up to Chapman University, moved out there, and loved it. It felt like home to me. Felt like this is where I belong. Unfortunately, some time went by, and my mother extremely missed me, and I felt bad. And I moved back to Massachusetts. So I got back into my vehicle and drove all the way across country and moved back and went back to UMass Amherst again. That's kind of how that happened. And that kind of similar sequence happened a few more times. I moved away, West Coast, felt bad about leaving my family, moved back to East Coast. And it happened a couple more times as well. So that was kind of like a similar sequence for me for, my late teen, early 20s. And so it also gave me the chance to experience the world, travel by car through the country with a map and a highlighter, because we didn't have, Google and cell phones really back then yet. They were just about to come out. And
Right.
That's how I traveled.
Wow. So I've seen quite a bit of the country myself. I've been to 47 states and 30 plus countries, and it's one of my favorite things to do. People ask me what my top 10 list. It's in the top 2 or 3 things that I'd like to do for a long time to come. So I understand that. I haven't been to Kentucky, to South Carolina, or North Dakota are still on my list, but I love it. And I know you travel now all the time as a speaker and as an author. I mean, your book, I'm interested to know a little bit more about your book that you co-authored with Jim Britt and Kevin Harrington. It's called Cracking the Rich Code.
Yes.
And let's get into that maybe in the second segment here, but tell me how you jumped from graphic design and marketing into becoming really an expert in nutrition and fitness and everything you do today. That's such a blessing to your clients.
Yeah. So one of my moves to the West Coast was in Las Vegas, where I actually live now. And I was doing bartending and graphic design because I was a hustler. I still am. I love to just work. And ended up moving back home because, again, I felt bad for leaving my family, even though I had an amazing job out here. And when I got back home, finding a job that was kind of like what I had was tough. So I started applying out towards Boston because I lived in Western Mass. And in the interim, I got a job at a gym because during my time living in Seattle, I actually got my yoga instructor training. And so I got a job at a gym and quickly kind of took over managing, doing fitness classes, training, nutrition, and really kind of fell in love with something that was my hobby, and really embarked on that journey and dove really deep into getting educated and certified in all of that. And that kind of put my graphic design and my branding off to the side. And that's when I really started diving deep into the health and fitness world.
Well, it's interesting how your career has evolved, and I'm fairly familiar with it. I've talked to several of your clients and your colleagues. We met through Bill Walsh, as you know.
Yes.
And, you've really blended the two with your branding expertise and your marketing background, combined with your expertise now as a foremost nutritionist and fitness expert. It's kind of a unique blend that not a lot of businesses and experts out there can lay claim to, right? Usually they're good at one thing or the other, and they're a great architect or a great plumber or a great coach or whatever the case might be, but they don't have that branding side of it, which is so important. They have to hire it out or figure it out, right?
Yes, it's so
That's
true.
a big blessing.
Yeah, it is. And I didn't realize how much I was branding myself. It was kind of like second nature until I realized that I needed to bring my art back into my world, because it was kind of on the side, and people kept saying, wow, Jessica, you're really, really good at that. So I started giving it more attention. And as I look back, I was like, wow, I did a really great job on branding myself. I need to teach people how to do this because people struggle with this. And advertising makes you money, but marketing and branding is really what makes you wealthy.
That's interesting. Why do you say that? What's the difference between the two?
Okay, well, let's for instance, let's take a sneaker company. If I say the swoosh, I don't even have to, I just have to go like this, and you already know what company comes to your mind. That's branding. That's the power of branding. They have to spend a lot less money on marketing, or advertising, I should say, because they've marketed their brand so well. Now, if I were to come up with another sneaker name that isn't so well branded, maybe it's a more of a mom and pop, and they haven't figured out that massive scale of marketing and branding yet, I'd have to tell you a little bit more about, or explain it more. Like I know Tom's is a pretty big shoe company, but maybe not to everyone. I don't think everyone's heard of Tom's. And, right. So that's kind of the difference. Like the Nike swoosh is a brand, whereas like a sneaker like Tom's, and they were the first ones to come to my mind, they are bigger. However, they not everyone's heard of them. They don't have something I could do as a gesture with my hand that would make them recognizable. I would have to be like, oh, Tom's, the sneakers that you find a lot of the earthy, crunchy people wearing, and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah. So they haven't quite achieved that branding success like Nike has.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes.
Well, we're up against our break. Let's take a quick break here. We'll be right back. We're visiting with Jessica Brothers, She's the founder and CEO of her brand, Jessica Brothers. And you can find her everywhere it's at I Am Sigma Woman. Is that right?
Got it.
All right. Well, we'll be right back, everybody. Don't go away.
All clear. Fantastic segment. Back in 2.
Thank you, Andrew. When we come back, I'd love to talk a little bit more about the branding side of it, because I think it's a really important point. And I had Angel Tessie on my show a couple of weeks ago, and she's big about getting your message out through media, and I know you know her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. It's a different form of marketing, but doing it on a massive scale, right? And you've done a great job with that, getting on platforms and getting your message out, not one at a time, and not to that weekly BNI group of 30 people or whatever, but to thousands of people at a time. And what a better way to grow your brand than do it on a massive scale. So I always say on the YouTube video, people get the behind the scenes here. So
I love it.
And you're welcome to.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's true. When I was studying under Grant Cardone, I loved his energy. He gave me some really great mentorship and advice. I loved working with him. He even put me on his stage a couple times. So I was grateful for that. And he really just pounded into my head about omnipresence. You got to be omnipresent. You got to be everywhere. Someone opens their phone, is on Facebook, and there you are. Then they go into YouTube, there you are. You go into a blog, there you are. Like, the more someone sees your face, your name, your symbol, whatever it is, the more they're going to trust you, the more they're going to refer to you or refer people to you, the more you're going to be known. Because it's not about the best brand, and we can talk about this when we go live. It's not about the best. I mean, it's not about the best burger. Okay, meaning like, my little corner shop could have the best burger on this earth, but the best known is McDonald's. So more people will visit there. So it's not about being best. It's about being the best known, the most known. And that's why omnipresence is huge.
We've got about 20 seconds till we come back.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yes. And that's the power of branding.
Yeah. Let's come back to that.
Yes, we will. Love it. This is great.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back, and thanks for being with us. We're visiting with Jessica Brothers. She's a legacy branding expert combined with a nutrition and fitness expert. And we were talking a little bit about the difference between branding and marketing before the break. You made a really interesting point while we were on break here, Jessica, and that is that you have to make sure your brand is omnipresent. Do you mind expanding on that for the listening audience, what that means?
For sure. I was just telling Patrick that, when I was studying under Grant Cardone, he really drilled into my head about omnipresence. You have to be everywhere, meaning, everyone's on their phones. Someone opens up the Facebook, they see you. They open up Instagram, they see you. They open up YouTube, they see you. They go on Google and there's an ad for you. Like, the more that you are seen, heard, shown to a single person or an audience or the world, the more you're going to be trusted, the more you're going to be referred to, the more you're going to be bought from. It becomes a brand, a trust, because the more people see you, the more they recognize you, and the more they trust it because you're showing up. And so the point was, this was my first lesson from Grant. He said to me, Jessica, what's the best burger out there? And I said, well, it depends on who's eating it. He goes, no, that's not what it is. It's McDonald's. I said, what? Oh, Sorry, I haven't eaten at McDonald's since I was probably 15 years old. Like, that's disgusting. He goes, that's the point. It's not about being the best or having the best product. It's about being the best and most known. And that is a difference between advertising and branding.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Obviously, if you have a great product and high quality and so forth, and you have that branding presence, that's the best of both worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're exactly right. I've been a sales trainer for most of my career. I've been in sales for 35 years. And I've told my salespeople for decades that if we say it, we're biased, right? It's like a 1x. If we say something, our customers automatically are suspicious. They know we're biased. They take it with a grain of salt, right? And yet, if others are saying it about us, it's a 10x, right? It's so much stronger. That's why even when we sell, we should speak in third person.
Yes.
Not me telling you, it's others saying, and this is what we're hearing from our customers. This is why so many people are interested in what we're doing, and this is the feedback we hear. That's speaking in third person. You're speaking for the masses, not for yourself. Obviously, the strongest statement is to get them to say it, get your customer to say it. And it just comes down to good questioning. So it's a very interesting topic. I couldn't agree more. You've done a great job of building your brand, the I am Sigma woman, which leads me to my next question. Let's talk about Sigma.
I love this.
Your side, it's all over your brand. What does that mean? And why is it so important to you and your brand?
Well, it's important to me, and it's who I am. And it may not mean a lot to others, although it's a curiosity thing, and it is about me because I'm teaching people to brand themselves. Okay. So Sigma is a personality type. It's a very rare personality type. And I didn't learn about this until not that long ago. And my whole life growing up, I felt very different. I seemed to fit in everywhere, in every single circle. However, at the same time, people would talk about me. I felt like an outcast. I didn't have a lot of friends. I thought differently. I dressed differently. I was told that too. You're weird. You dress weird. People don't dress like that. And I would always be told I'm intimidating. Wow, you have a lot of like passion behind you. I've never felt passion like that. And I was very much a loner. At the same time of not having friends, it was okay because I spent a lot of time by myself. And a Sigma is someone that is just like that. We've heard of alphas, right? Like the alphas of the wolf pack, they're the leaders. However, alphas need a pack. They need other people. And a Sigma is like an alpha in strength and in confidence and in pride and a high intelligence and thoughts and thinking big and being a forward-thinking. But at the same time, they like to be alone. So it's a stronger kind of presence. And that's where people, when you're around a Sigma, you feel them. And that's what you talked about, that magnetic personality, that difference that you feel. And I just thought I was weird. I didn't realize. So I always felt like there was something wrong with me and I don't like to put myself into boxes. And that's another thing. I don't like labels. That's a Sigma thing too. However, when I learned about Sigma, someone put this in front of me because they saw what I was going through because they went through it and they recognized me right away and showed me a video. And during that video, oh my gosh, I just poured crying. I never felt so understood in my life.
Interesting.
So then I was able to own myself and really, really rise up. And that is why Sigma woman is so important to me.
It's really interesting. I wonder if I'm not a Sigma because I've been accused of being insensitive at times or cold or distant. I was described as austere by my partner the first time he met me. I feel like I'm a people person, but I refer to myself as an antisocial people person.
Yes.
Because I just as soon be all alone on a river fishing, fly fishing by myself or in my office working on a project. And so that's very interesting. I wonder if there's some similarities there. And I know it's like 0.007% or something like that.
Absolutely.
That category.
Mm-hmm.
Or either really weird or really special. One of the two, right?
I'll take both.
So you mentioned Grant Cardone. I know you've been on stages with the likes of Darren Hardy and Bill Walsh. I mean, Grant Cardone is one of the top speakers in the world, and he's an interesting guy. I mean, talk about passion and what you do. Any other lessons that you learned while working with Grant?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking big enough. That was very clear to me. I was not thinking big enough. Get in room of people who are thinking bigger than you. Get in the room of people that you want to aspire, that you are aspiring to be. Because again, going back to that brain, when you surround yourself with the people that you aspire to be, that you are, and I say you are because you have to be there now in order to get there, then your brain will make sure that happens. When you're around people that aren't challenging you, you are saying, okay, I'm here, I've arrived. And your brain kind of settles down. But when you get into the room with bigger thinkers, people doing big things, your brain's like, okay, well, we got to bring you here now. And you end up going there. You start doing things that they do. And so that's a big thing. I mean, other than that, he taught me a lot about business, because I was kind of self-educated on business. I didn't go to business school. And he showed me a lot about business and scaling and the challenges people get in business and how to structure business. And he educated me even more in marketing and branding as well, to add to what I already naturally was doing. Other than that, to never give up. And it doesn't matter what people say or think, because if they're talking about you, they're talking about you. And that's all that matters.
I heard once that any press is good press, right?
Yes.
Even if it's bad press. If people are talking about you, it's expanding that brand, right? You can control it. That's one of the things I like about being a radio show host, is that I can control my message and get our message out to millions of people. And yeah, we choose the guests we want to have. We choose the questions we want to ask, the direction we want it to go. It's always interesting where it takes me, because as I was telling you earlier, when I first started as a host with Voice America, I'd script out my show. I'd write out the questions I was going to answer. It was all written out, right? It was very planned, and it was stilted, because since I changed and now I come into it cold, I've of course done my research on you or written up the episode description, but I really don't have any idea where I'm going to take the show. And in the process, it feels so much more natural. And whether we're talking about 10xing our life and our business, like with Grant Cardone, or we're talking about how to overcome trauma or stop Alzheimer's, I've had all these different guests, but it's been really fantastic letting it take its course and letting it go where it's going to go. I think the same thing happens in life and in business. I mean, you've seen this in your career, just letting it take you where it needed to go, right? Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. Yes, I completely agree. It's a beautiful thing life is. And I get asked the question a lot, what would you change? What would you tell your younger self now? And so the answer to my first question is, I wouldn't change anything, because I wouldn't be right here in this moment if I changed anything, because it would change the entire trajectory of my life, the lessons I had to learn to be where I am. And what would I tell my younger self? Stay strong, because life is getting really good by you going through what you're going through. And that's the best advice I can give you. Just keep going. Keep that head up like it always is. You're not going to be let down. Just keep going.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It comes back to our mindset, right? Our perspective. I think one of the reasons that life is hard and why we struggle, so many people out there, they deal with anxiety or depression, discouragement, is that they're expecting life to be easier, or they're expecting it to go differently. And when bad things happen, which they happen to all of us, part of the mortal experience, they're surprised by it or disappointed or frustrated. They shake their hands at, their fist at the heavens and say, why me? Well, why you? Because you're alive, right? It happens to every one of us. And if we just expect life to be hard and we act accordingly, and we take, like water off a duck's back and roll with the punches, I think it's much easier to handle than being thrown off by it, or surprised or taken back by our things that happen.
Yes. This is something I lead with a lot. Words. We were talking about words and the power of words. Like, you don't even like to say that your head hurts. Well, if you say, it's such a bad day, or why is life so hard? What do you think is going to happen? Your day is going to be bad and life is going to be hard, because, like they're doing in science now, measuring our mood through its vibration, because the higher vibration, the happier you are, the lower the vibration, the lower you are. And in science, things attract. I mean, it does. So if you are in a low vibrating word, you're going to attract more low vibrating things that make you feel that way. So when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and you go and you grab coffee and the coffee's all gone, you go to take a shower and the shower's cold, then you're late for work and you're hitting every red light and you realize that your gas is low. Now, it's all because you woke up with a perspective in a low vibrating frequency that you started and kept attracting all those negative, low things happening in your life. Now, you also have that control, like you were just talking about. When you wake up and you realize you're late for work, well, guess what? There's a reason why I'm late for work today. Instead, flip the script, right? Use your words, your power of your words to change your day. It doesn't have to be a bad day. You can smile. All right, I feel better. Right. How is this working for me, not to me? How's this working for me? Because when bad things happen, it's showing you what you don't want. Now, so go to the other side and think, okay, if this is what I don't want, what is it I do want? And focus on that, because what you focus on, your energy flows to.
Right. This whole half glass full, half glass empty concept, right?
Yes.
Same amount of water. It's just how do you decide to define it? You said an interesting point earlier about how our mind doesn't want to make us a liar. It wants whatever we say to be true, and it goes to work to make it so. What's an interesting principle along those same lines is our mind doesn't know the difference between real and make-believe. And so that's why the power of affirmations, the power of goal setting, and visualization, manifestation, because our mind, it doesn't know if it's real or not. It doesn't know if we say, I am this and fill in the blank. It says, okay, I am a best-selling author. I am a world-renowned speaker. I am a great dad, a great spouse. Whatever you say it is, it doesn't know that it's not already true. And it certainly goes to work to make sure that it's true. It's just, it's the power of the mind, but it's really interesting point.
It is. Manifestation, this is something people are becoming more aware of and asking about quite frequently. And the thing is, people are like, oh, manifestation doesn't work because I'm not getting what I want. Well, it's always on. It's like a light switch. You can't, it's not like a light switch. You can't turn it off. How about that? And manifestation is always happening. It's just you are focusing on the wrong things. So you're manifesting the wrong things. And that's really what people need to wake up to, because the only real moment, or the only thing that's ever real, is this moment. And then this moment, and then this moment. And I can go on and on. And your brain, your body, your life knows nothing different than what you bring into this moment right here, right now. Your thought, your feeling, your belief. That is what it is, period.
Couldn't agree more. Well, we're up against our last break here, our next break. So we're visiting with Jessica Brothers. She's a world-renowned nutritionist and legacy branding expert. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what you mean by legacy. So let's go to break. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.
All clear. Great segment. Back in 2.
Thank you, Andrew.
Nice. Yes. So legacy, you'll find out that's how I combined everything I know into legacy. That's why I chose the word legacy, because yes, and we can talk about that. I would love to.
Like that.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'd love to hear a little more about your book. People, I'm sure, are interested in cracking the rich code. What does that mean, and how do you do it?
Yeah, that all ties in with what I do as well. Really does. So in that book, I wrote about kind of like my wake up on what really changed my life. what I discovered on what really changed my life, what I thought it was, and then what it really was. It was one of the most pivotal moments of my life. So that's what that book was about.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that'll be great to dig into a little bit.
Sure.
So now, do you have children? Are you in a relationship?
I am.
I
Yes.
was wondering, this woman's gorgeous. Is she available?
I have an 8-year-old son. He is phenomenal, genius. Loves soccer, and I am currently going through a divorce.
Okay.
Yes, after 10 years of marriage.
Wow.
Yes.
I've
yes.
been there. There is life after divorce.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I've been through it twice, actually. I guess they say third try is the charm, and I think
15 seconds.
This one's a keeper. So
nice. Very good.
I have 5 children. So
wow, 5 kids. Bless your heart, Patrick.
All right, 5 seconds.
I love it though.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
welcome back. Appreciate you listening in today. Visiting with Jessica Brothers. She is a nutritionist and an integrative nutritionist. Maybe you can explain what that means, but I want to talk a little bit more about legacy branding, as I said. So you've become an expert and nutritionist. You've spoken on stages all over the country and around the world with some pretty big names. I mean, Darren Hardy, Grant Cardone, et cetera, et cetera. You're a best-selling author, and you teach your clients not only how to improve their health and their mindset to elevate their lives to a different level, but you're teaching them how to achieve financial success as well and blend those two together, because they're really connected at the hip, right? The health and fitness and success as an entrepreneur. So can you talk a little bit about what you mean by legacy? I know the name legacy branding came about because of an event in your life. You said it was quite life-changing. Do you mind talking about it?
Sure. Absolutely. After being into health and wellness and getting so much education on it, and eating clean and healthy, working out 7 days a week, overcoming eating addiction, overcoming all kinds of abuse, overcoming a ton of adversity. I considered myself to be really, really healthy, eating cleaner than most. And I developed an autoimmune, like bedridden autoimmune disease, where they wanted to actually give me a liver transplant. Wow. And I could barely lift my head off the pillow, sick. And I wasn't having it. I said, absolutely not. I know enough about the body and I'm going to learn more. I dove back into biology, started learning about cellular health, where do autoimmunes come from? And I said, I'm going to heal myself. Everyone laughed at me. I like to say today, I'm fully healed, 100%. So here I am living healthy, eating right, doing personal development. And I'm like, why is this happening to me, right? This was back before I had my epiphany. I started down this path of spirituality. And I'm not talking about religion, because I was never brought up with religion. I'm talking about self-love, relationship with self. And I started realizing, wow, the voice inside my head still puts myself down. All this personal development and my voice inside my head still puts me down. And as I started diving deep into how to overcome that, how to transform that, a lot of other great things came to where I learned I was doing everything in the physical world, meaning like I was eating my food right. I was eating the right foods for my body, the right nutrition, where I eliminated, all kinds of inflammation and things that my body didn't like. I was working out 7 days a week. I was verbally saying good words and practicing reading every single day. I was doing the sunrise every day. However, my spiritual inner self was completely off. And in that moment, I realized for someone to achieve optimal health, this is the key that most people miss. We want to exercise and we want to diet, but those are just half and a portion of what's going to help you achieve your optimal health, because the other half of it is your spiritual self. Because in science, spirit and physical work together. You can't have one without the other, because what influences an atom to actually shift into a molecule is the influence of energy. And we are a bunch of molecules. So what influences us? Well, energy. Dr. Lipton studies this beautifully. So then I realized, okay, if I'm doing everything physically right, then what is the energy that needs to happen for me to coincide with what I'm doing physically? And when I started doing that, I healed myself 100% from an autoimmune disorder, from where I could only eat pretty much vegetables, a few pieces of meat, and sweet potatoes, to eating anything I want almost overnight. And that is the moment I realized that anything you want in life takes both the physical and the spiritual to actually come to an existence. And that is what changed everything for me. And that's really what legacy is about, is your life. What significance do you want to leave on this earth? Because it's more than just physical. It's more than just business. It's your relationship with others and yourself. And how do you show up for yourself spiritually, your self-love? Because how you are inside is how your external world also reflects.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that. You know, I was on a podcast yesterday with a friend of mine named April Porter. She owns Ask April Porter. It's an organization that helps franchises receive the support and the mentorship and the tools that they need. And we were talking about the importance of not necessarily balance in business, because there are times when we're out of balance. There's times we're trying to hit a deadline or trying to launch a new product, and we're certainly not balanced. But she said a really interesting phrase. She said that she has come to believe that what we need is harmony in our lives. And I think it's a great definition or a great example of this inner and interior, exterior, spiritual and physical blend that we have to have. I think harmony in our lives and our businesses is a really great word.
Yes. I choose to use harmony over balance. When people talk about balance, balance usually means equal for most people. You know, so I like to use harmony, because sometimes it's going to constantly be going like this, and it's a dance. It's a harmony. It's not always like this. If you work 8 hours, it doesn't mean you do 8 hours with your family. You know, some is going to have more attention than others, depending on the day, the week, the month, the year, the season your life is in. So it's a dance and a harmony. And I love that she uses that word.
Right. Cycles of life, right?
Yes.
So we're coming toward the end of the show. It's always amazing how fast it flies by. Doesn't hurt when we have a great guest like yourself, but let's talk a little bit about your book. You wrote this book called Cracking the Rich Code, and interested how you came up with that title, and what is it that, I guess, the lesson that is taught, or the lessons that are taught in that book that could maybe benefit our listeners today.
Yes. So I'm going to be transparent on this book. It's not solely my book. It is actually Jim Britt's book. He came up with the title. It was a project with him and Kevin Harrington, and they asked me to write a piece of it. So I'm just a portion of it, telling my story of how what I just talked about, of what I had been doing all my life and feeling like I've been struggling. You know, with again, I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with, you know, a food addiction. Even though I was healthy eating, I would overeat, and I would punish myself with going to the gym or running. And I hate running to this day. I will not run. Cardio and me just don't exist. We just don't do it. Yes, I don't. You get me a Muay Thai, that will be my cardio. I love Muay Thai. I've gotten you know, quite the good from the disciplines of martial arts. But however, Again, when I realized that if you want to be richness, like
Wealthy.
wealthy, thank you. If you want to be wealthy, let's break down that word. Well, thy is well. So wealthy is not about money. It's about you being well. How do you become well? You have that harmony of that physical and that spiritual in you. When you find that harmony in you, everything in your life changes, meaning your thoughts, your perspectives, the way you interact with people, the way you interact with your life, the choices you make, the habits you have, every single thing. We have so many decisions to make a day that most of them we're on autopilot. We don't even realize we're making them. And so if you change just yourself, everything you do in life is going to change. And that's how you become wealthy. That's how you crack the rich code. We think we need to eat the frog every morning and make ourselves do these things. I'm not saying be lazy. I'm saying make sure you're fulfilling yourself first. And most people call that selfish. But however, selfish is a word that we've been given with the wrong emotional attachment to it, because selfish really means one with self. And they tell you to put the oxygen mask on first when you're on an airplane, right? Well, wouldn't that be selfish? If you have to do it there to survive, why wouldn't you do that in every aspect of your life? And that's what I discovered for myself when my life started changing. And that's the realization I give to people and teach and coach people so that they can build their legacy and own it now. So when they're ready to leave this earth, there's not a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's like, wow, I did, period.
And you talk about legacy branding, right? It's about creating our personal brand, our business brand, and creating and leaving behind a legacy in the process. And I don't think it is selfish. I think it's about self-love.
Yes.
One of my favorite books is by an author named Greg Bear. He wrote a book called Real Love. And he has saved thousands of marriages and relationships by teaching people how to love themselves first and find joy in themselves and in their needs being fulfilled, and not looking to someone else to do that for them, right? Yeah. I think ultimately what it's coming down to, it's not about being selfish and ignoring others or putting them last. It's just making sure that you are not forgotten in the mix, and that you have that harmony in your personal life as well as your relationships. And great book, by the way. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Anyone who's listening, if you're in a relationship that's struggling, go get Real Love by Greg Bear. It's fantastic. So how do people get a hold of you, Jessica, as we come to the end of the show?
Absolutely. You can message me on pretty much any social media platform at I Am Sigma Woman. You can visit me at jessicabrothers.com. Those are the best ways to get to know me more, reach out to me, and get a hold of me for sure.
Fantastic. I appreciate being on the show today. We've covered a lot of different topics. As I said earlier, people refer to this as a kind of a stroll down memory lane, remembering some of the things you've been through. And you've been through a lot. You've accomplished a lot. I know you're not done. You've got a lot on your plate, a lot that you're doing, and I'm sure you'll accomplish great things to come. I look forward to being an observer and cheering you on. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here, Jessica. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you as well.
If you are listening to this and you're looking for certainty in your life, I titled the show Finding Certainty, but we could have called it Creating Certainty instead, because it is within our reach. We can't give up. We need to get out and go after it. As Jessica said, Grant Cardone said, don't give up. He talks about 10xing our lives. Look at our health. Look at our relationships, our faith. Say, how can I do more? I heard just recently, if we picked the top 3 things that we wanted to accomplish, I heard this from Kevin O'Leary 2 days ago in a conference I was at. He said, pick the top 3 things every day that we can do to further advance our business, our lives. Just try to do those 3 things. Fall short, that's okay. But don't get caught in by the distractions and everything. certainty is out there. You can find it. You can create it even better, and we can help. Thanks for listening. We look forward to having you on next week. Thanks again, Jessica. You're fantastic. I'm a big fan.
All clear. Great job today, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yep. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next time.
You as well. We're still recording. Jessica, was there anything we missed that you'd like to add in? Anything you're excited about that's coming up?
Yeah, I got a couple new programs I'm releasing. I've partnered with an expert in marketing to help you. This business helps you actually build and launch your online company. He has 3-day boot camps. It's phenomenal. The information he gives you, literally by the end of 3 days, on day 4, all you have to do is execute. He helps you build from start to finish an entire business or program and launch it online. It is beautiful. Other than that, my newest program coming out is One Story Away. And it helps people tune into their awareness of the story that they tell themselves on a daily basis, and why it could be holding you back from everything that you dream of. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm about to launch that. I'm really, really excited about it.
That's great.
Yes.
Love to learn more. The man you mentioned, the marketer, that isn't Cease, is it?
Yes, it is. You know,
Cease.
that's right. Yes.
Yeah,
So
he was the guest on here 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show.
Yes. Amazing, amazing man.
Yeah, I would agree. If you are not familiar, if you're looking to market your business, go back and watch the episode here on Finding Certainty with Cease Savan. He's incredible what he's doing.
Yes, absolutely.
The small world, isn't it? We as you start getting into this space of building business and seeking to network and looking for like-minded people, the connections that you start to make are incredible. So I've enjoyed getting to know you, Jessica. Look forward to many more years to come. So
yeah, absolutely, Patrick. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, have a great weekend and take care of yourself. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being on Finding Certainty.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun, and safe travels back to Vegas.
Well, I'll be back soon. Got to go back to that warm weather, right?
Oh yes, it's waiting for you.
All right. Talk to you later, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Take care.